Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for gamification, game-based learning, and everything in between, concepts, application, myths, and half-truths. Our speakers today are Deepak Sharma. Deepak is the founder of the Road Ahead Learning and partner in Kairos for North America. He brings 30 years of extensive experience across diverse fields, including education, real estate, hospitality, and the not-for-profit sector. We also have Bhaskar Thiarjan. Bhaskar is the founder and CEO of Blue Sky Learning at Kairos, and he has over 18 years of experience and more than 1,000 days dedicated to leadership training, speaking, and coaching. So I'll turn it over to our evening's presenters, and have a great time. I'll still be here.
Thank you, Shani, very much for introducing us. Good evening, everyone. And today's session is all about having fun and knowing how game-based learning can really impact our life in terms of training and engagement. So as the topic is gamification, game-based learning, and we have a lot of, we know a lot of concepts, applications, and there are a lot of half-truths also. So we'll try to cover both gamification and game-based learning and understand how this particular subject we can have better understanding of it. Shani has already introduced Bhaskar and me. So let's understand what kind of games we love and has been playing for many years. I'm sure you must have seen and played these games like chess, tangram, jigsaw puzzles. Of course, some outdoor games like basketballs, Jeopardy, snake ladders, and these days, nobody has been able to save themselves from Candy Crush, Angry Birds. So what is common among all of them? The whole idea about all these games is that no one had to force us to participate. It always, I remember when I used to play Candy Crush, once you get into that game, there is an intrinsic motivation to improve every time. We played again and again, and the whole idea is how we can increase our performance in those games. And as you keep on going up, the challenges are also increasing. There is always a feeling of that, yeah, we want to win, we want to make better. And even if we are losing, we still want to go again and win. So there were small games within those games. So the idea was, it was always challenging our mind, and it was always continuously challenging us how we can go ahead. Let's understand what is common among these games. The highlighted games like crossword, jigsaw puzzle, quiz, Jeopardy, they all have one thing very common, that is finite rules and finite outcomes. Means that when we're talking about finite rule, that the players have to follow one rule. They cannot change rules. They have to follow one rule. And there is a finite outcome. If we do follow these rules, there will be one single outcome for every single person. So outcome is same, rules are same. And most of the time, these are either played by an individual or a very small group. And as I said, as you keep on growing, there are scorecards and multiple levels you are achieving every time. And it's again one time in nature. There is always the whole idea is you're playing that game again and again, and you are achieving new levels. You are competing with selves. There are ranks, there are rewards, but every time you go up, the new things are keep on adding in. Whereas, if you look at the games like chess or basketball or baseball or even poker, there are finite rules, but there are no finite outcomes. The outcomes are infinite. They're totally unpredictable. Means you can play once. The chess is all about strategy. There is no single path that you have to follow this particular rule and then only you can win. Every time you have to use different skills, different ways, and different possibilities of getting into that game. And if you look at basketball, I've been playing basketball for many years. Every time you play that game, there is no single path. Sometimes you have to match other people. Sometimes you have to go from different direction. Sometimes you have to play in defense. Every time, things changes depending on how the other team is performing. Of course, there are scoreboards and positions in these games too. But all of them offered a learning experience. If you look at every single game that I have talked about, there is strategy involved, there are decision making involved, there are perseverance involved. People, we're not ready to give up on Candy Crush. We keep on continuously doing it. We need to do a lot of planning. And if you look at snake and ladders, there is a lot of luck and unpredictability. You don't know what's going to happen. So every game has given us a learning experience, and also there are skill involved into it. So you must be wondering, what's all this got to do with L&D? Yes, there is a lot. We face as L&D managers a lot of challenges today. Now, one of the most common challenges as a trainer I have discussed and experienced and heard from people is engagement. How we can make our training programs more engaging every day. Even when our programs are online, are our employees are completing those programs or leaving them half? And a lot of reminders kept on going. I seen LMS keeps on sending reminders. Your program is about due. Please complete it by so and so date. If the program is not engaging, it is kind of a checklist for employees to do. Are employees motivated, and are they taking initiative to do these programs? Are they being in love that every time they get into a program, are they looking, oh my God, when is the next program? I'm excited for the next program. I have seen very less programs where people are excited to know what's coming next. What kind of time they are ready to apply for the learning? Are they excited that, okay, tomorrow, today, we are going to spend 1 hour on doing these training programs? And then the other challenge is one program fits everyone in the organization? Or we have to create some kind of exciting content so that everybody can enjoy it. If you think that if you have any other challenge that you have faced as an L&D leader, don't hesitate to write it in the chat. We would love to know that what are some of the challenges you are facing. These are some of the common challenges I shared, but there are many other challenges I'm sure you must be facing as L&D leaders. So now I would like to request Bhaskar to help us understand what is the difference between game-based learning and gamification, and how there's a huge opportunity hidden under this concept. Bhaskar.
Yeah, thanks, Deepak. Thanks for setting it up. So essentially, if you see the topic today, the idea was to understand really how the world of games and gamification, which till a few years back was just a very niche thing, which happened only in small university setups. It's now exploding. It's reached an inflection point. So the idea is to understand how can games and gamification really help us overcome these challenges that we're facing as L&D managers every day. I was just reading a ResearchGate article yesterday, Deepak, which said that the completion rate of MOOC platforms has dropped to 3%. In many of the more advanced nations and more where people have a natural intrinsic motivation to learn, it's reached 6%. The completion rates of content lying in LMSs in organizations, even in the best organizations, is about 12%. So there is a big challenge with respect to just dumping content and providing them access is not enough anymore. The world of the learner wants more, and therefore, how can games be used to overcome these challenges? And the world of games do offer, and that is why Deepak started with that idea of saying, what are the games we love and play? And we'll try and establish that connection here. So can elements of games be used that can be into the learning environment so that they can solve for our problems that we're facing? And what part of L&D initiatives can they be used for? Traditionally, in going back a few years, games was associated with either team building or engagement or events of that nature, which were only about interaction and fun. But today, the world has evolved where serious gameplay, gamification elements can be used to cover practically every learning initiative that an organization has. And our idea is to today give you a sneak preview of how gamification elements and learning games, how they are different and how they can be used for differently for these learning needs that we identify. So let's start with understanding the basic difference. And the reason we chose this topic is because um, Deepak and I, and we were in at the ATD conference, annual conference in New Orleans just a month ago. And even now, people use gamification and game-based learning in the same breath interchangeably, whereas they actually perform completely different functions. And that is what gave the genesis to this topic itself. So I want to use the game of poker as an illustration to help clear this fog between what is game and what is gamification and what's the difference. So say you want to learn or you want to conduct a session around get people to learn how to play poker. So really there are three options, right? So if we take the game of poker and we put it in an e-learning capsule and put it on LinkedIn Learning or in your LMS, so that's an e-learning course where you switch on a course, you listen to people talking or you read content and you absorb how to play poker. You take it one step further where at the end of the course, you have an interesting set of quizzes. You have scenarios. We say that, say, Deepak has this hand and you have this hand, and what would you do? And then you test people's understanding of how much they have learned. And say you have a large group of people and you want to make it interesting and motivate them. You add badges, you add rewards, and make a person who has come up first in the quiz as the poker champion. So that's gamified learning. The third is where what is called game-based learning. Now, just because somebody has scored well in their quiz, it doesn't automatically mean they will be great in actual live play. Because in actual live play, the dynamics of individuals' personality, preferences, who is on the opposite side, who am I playing with, all of these elements come into play. And that's really the fundamental difference between gamified learning, e-learning, and game-based learning, where the reason why, if you are doing a course which involves only knowledge transfer, where you just want the person to understand and know, grasp knowledge, then e-learning and game-based learning is more than enough, or gamified learning is more than enough, because they have a conceptual knowledge of what you want them to learn. So if you want them to learn a theory in chemistry, just going from e-learning to gamified learning is more than enough. But if you want them to understand concepts of leadership, just because I understand empathy in communication, it doesn't mean I automatically demonstrate empathy in communication. So if poker were a game that I'm using to understand, to help people uncover what is their strategic thinking, how do they cut their losses, how do they protect themselves, how are they applying critical thinking, if I want to test people on these or get people to understand how they apply or what is their natural proclivity to risk, how do they go about strategy and decision making, then that is where game-based learning plays a role. So when I play a game of poker and use it for people to understand their strategy, that's called game-based learning. When I want to teach people how to play poker and I want to test their knowledge, that's called gamified learning. And that's really the fundamental difference between the two, and they're not interchangeable. So which is what I put in this definition, which is that adding game elements to your training course is gamification, whereas playing a game and extracting a learning out of it is called game-based learning. So their starting point is very different. So in the game, you use elements of games and apply it into learning, whereas in game-based learning, the learning is integrated in the game itself. So rewards are about, so there's an element of reward badge, which makes winning, coming first, competition very critical in game-based learning, gamification. Whereas in game-based learning, the game outcome doesn't matter. It's the learning that is happening during the game that really matters. And that is the reward in itself. So Inherently, game-based learning does not go into points, scores, trying to create a champion, because game is only a means to an end. Gamification requires natural drive. So if I launch a course and I want Deepak to participate in it, if Deepak is not inherently motivated by competition, he doesn't care if he comes first, he doesn't really care if he wins badges, then he's never going to participate in it, no matter what the reward in it, because he doesn't see it worth its time. Whereas if I tell Deepak, hey Deepak, come, let's play a game, right? And Deepak says, oh, okay, games are fun, and I'm not giving him any context. The natural inclination to play with others takes over, and therefore there is an inherent motivation to play. That is why in gamification, the motivation is eccentric. People don't want to learn. Therefore, let me introduce these motivating factors to get them to learn. Whereas in game-based learning, hey, let's all come and play. And while we play, incidentally, let us learn. So the starting point is very, very different between the two. And therefore, in game-based learning, because it's a social experience, it's more fun. Whereas in gamification, typically it's a one-on-one experience. You go through individual courses yourself. The learning opportunity, like I said, is embedded in the game design itself. Whereas in gamification, you have to introduce these various elements to keep people motivated. So how are they therefore different, right? So both are required in organization. Where you have knowledge and concepts for people to understand, gamified learning helps, because you want them to understand. So if you say doing a training program or designing a training program in a financial institution, and you want people to know about the latest changes in the federal laws, if you're dealing in insurance and you want your people to know the latest features in your products, then it's a knowledge transfer, and therefore gamified learning works best. If you're in an environment where you do not have the opportunity to collect people together and you want people to learn in their own time frames, then gamified learning is better. Where retention is important more than application, there gamified learning is important. So your mandatory trainings, your safety trainings, process training, where you want them to understand and retain the knowledge, there gamified learning is important. Application of knowledge is a place where both game-based learning and gamified learning both work, because in both cases, you're applying yourself in that particular space. Now, there is always an issue of cost. So in gamified learning, like Deepak said, a crossword is a one-time experience. You will never play that same crossword again. Whereas a game of football, you don't have to keep reinventing the game. You play the same game again and again, and you are able to learn more. So gamified learning, typically customization costs are very high. Game-based learning, you don't need to customize. You can pick from a whole set of games that are available and only add the learning element. And therefore, gamified learning tends to be a little more expensive. No doubt, engagement and motivation while playing a game are far more than having to answer quizzes and crosswords. And this is the most important part, where doing is more important than knowing. So the vast area of soft skills and leadership development is not about knowing, because all leadership competencies are fairly commonsensical. After about 10 minutes of watching a video on communication skills, you're kind of bored, because they're not telling you anything new that you don't know. But you play a game in which your ability to listen determines success. You learn a lot more, because if you're not a natural listener, you will not experience success in the game, and therefore you're able to reflect and learn better. And that is why games work for soft skills and leadership skills. Gamified learning works for more technical and functional training. More on that later. And where gamified learning helps is where you don't have a cohort. Game-based learning necessarily requires a cohort of people to play together. So that's really the fundamental difference. Now, in order for you to understand this better, what we've planned is Deepak and I have planned a gameplay session, both for gamified learning as well as game-based learning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat, which is just a small example sorry, one second. A small example of how gamified learning looks. I think that link is appearing like an embedded link. So let me just give me a second.
Just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Is it opening?
Yeah, it is there, I think.
Yeah, now it will open. Yeah. So what I've done is I've just shared a link with you. It's a small scenario-based gamified learning experience. Just to give you an example, what does gamification look like? What we've not done is added points to this, but if you add points and scores to this exercise, to this small game, then you will, that is what gamified learning is. So what we've embedded is a code, one of the challenges that we use in our diversity and inclusion game. And because diversity and inclusion game is really about understanding the nuances of what does it mean to be inclusive and an awareness of our stereotypes, this is a scenario-based challenge that we've built for a client where we put you in a situation and ask you to answer questions of what's the right thing to do. If you answer all of them right, then the challenge completes. Otherwise, it asks you to go back and start again. So here, the gamification element is the number of tries and the time taken. The longer you take time, the more number of tries you take, you score lesser in the leaderboard. The faster you finish the challenge and the less number of attempts you take, the higher you score on a leaderboard. So that's how you can take a scenario. So instead of just saying, okay, Bhavin, here are the 7 different biases that you need to be aware of, which is what my presentation is likely to say. After that, if I share a link like this in my learning experience, even in a classroom session, each one is able to understand, and then you can have a conversation afterwards saying, how was your experience? What question did you find difficult? What question was easy? Or you can send an email out to people as part of your learning course and have this embedded in a courseware and create a learning file. I mean, create an LMS content and share it in your, in your LMS platform. So that is what a gamification means in a small illustration. Right. So if everybody is done, if you give me a thumbs up, I will move to the next. So what about Mark, Shobha, Marcia? You guys good? Can I move on?
I'm good.
Okay, great. So that was an example of gamified learning. Now, the exciting part is about what does game-based learning look like. So Deepak and I, like we mentioned, both of us run this platform called Kairos, where we have a set of games, both digital and in person, which can be used for behavioral skills learning. So I'm going to get everyone to experience what game-based learning looks like and how is it different. So for this, I have created a gameplay for the next 20-30 minutes, however long you want to play, with a game called The Warehouse, which I'm going to brief you on. And once I brief you, I'm going to share a link. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, share a game link with you in which all of you will play together as one team, right? So let me just tell you what the game is about. And then once we play the game, we can come back and talk about how this is different from gamification and how does it help in covering soft skills or leadership behaviors better than pure content, or how it can be more engaging, interacting, etc. So let me just brief you about the game itself. So the objective of this game is all of you are members of running a retail store, and this Black Friday is coming up. There are lots of demand for your best-selling products. You run a computer hardware store, and you have to, as a team, go to the warehouse. And when the warehouse opens, pick up your required order faster than the other team. So if we had a lot more people, we would be playing in multiple breakout rooms and we'd be competing with each other. But since we are just 5-6 people, we will play together as one team in this game. So the idea is you're competing with others to collect and transport the items from the warehouse to your store faster than the other teams. That's really the challenge. Now, how does it work to achieve this objective? All of you, once I share the link and you get started, all of you will be able to drag these items that you see from the warehouse through these gates to your team store together at the same time. So all six of you can drag and drop the item together at one time, right? And therefore it's a multiplayer live game. It's not an individual game. So you will be given a designated order, right, that you see on top. And you have to complete this order in the given time, which means you have handheld devices, servers, and so this is about 40 items here. Like that, you will be given an order and you have to complete that order in the shortest possible time. The game will start with this. When you land on your screen, it's going to, once you click on the link, it'll ask you to choose a team number. Since all of us are going to play one team, you just choose team 1. Please do not choose, I have created 5 teams, but just choose team 1 here in the drop down and enter your name. And once you enter your name, all of you enter, you'll be able to see your teammate's name. Just to be sure that you've entered team 1, you enter team 1 and then you move on. Give your team a cool name. And once you've given that name, only one person needs to give the name, others can hit skip. And once you've done that, you assign one team representative. So somebody in the team becomes like the team lead. And the team leader will have the timer to start and stop to measure how fast you're completing the challenge. Right? So the game will start with a practice board. Once you entered all this, you will land in this practice board where there'll be no order. If you can see, the screen doesn't have any order, which means it's just for you to get used to the idea of dragging and dropping the items. Just get comfortable with it and have some conversations internally. Then the team representative, the leader of the team, will get this button called the start round. Nobody else will get it. So if Deepak is the team lead, he'll say, hey guys, are we ready? So once you hit start round, you will get this order and then you will have some time to plan. Okay, this is the order. We have to move. If you want to understand what is handheld devices, you just put your mouse over it. It will show you what, and then you can find those. Your challenge is that specific order in that specific color combination, you have to land in this team store. And once you start, after your
Sorry to
planning,
interrupt you, Bhaskar. Are you showing us something or you're not
you're not able
intending
to
to show
see?
us? No, we are not seeing. We are seeing just the first screen which says warehouse game-based
Oh God,
learning.
that's what I was checking. One
So
second.
the tab, I
Actually,
realized that.
the
Yeah, okay.
yeah the
We
Yeah.
can see it now. So maybe
yeah
you have to dial
Zoom
back
has
maybe 10-15 seconds.
Zoom
Yeah,
has
just
removed the concept of share entire screen.
right.
So
Right.
when you switch screens, it creates a problem, right? So okay, so like I said, let me go back for a few minutes. As soon as you click on the link I share, there'll be a menu that you land on this sheet. All of you, please pick team 1, enter your name. Once you do that, you will see everybody else in your team. So just a quick check that all of you are there. And once you're there, once you've entered that, it'll ask you to give your team a name, give yourself a team a name. Only one person needs to write, others can skip. Then you have to assign one person to be the representative of the team. Now the representative of the team will get the start and stop button to decide when all of you are ready to start, and then you complete the challenge and stop, and then you get timed according to that. So the team representative has that role to play. Once you've done all of that, you will land in on a screen which just has some practice time. So just for you to drag and ensure that your system is working, you're able to drag comfortably, right? So just just like anything else you would drag, just click and drag and drop. The important thing, of course, is that you have to drag and drop within the gates. If you try and remove it, if you try and move it through these blocked areas, it won't move. So for each round, you'll get an order. As a team, you have to plan. How are we going to execute this? How are we going to divide this? And once you're ready, you hit the start button. And then once you hit the start button, the timer is running. And then all of you, it's a multiplayer live game, which means if 6 of you are playing, all 6 of you are dragging at the same time. So it's all playing in one team only. You're not having individual games. So while Bhavin is dragging, Shobha is also dragging, everybody else is also dragging, right? So that's why it's a team exercise. Once you're sure you've got the exact number, you hit the stop button. If you got the right order, the system will count and say qualified and give you a time. If you made even one mistake, it will say you're disqualified and you move to the next round. For any reason, if you want to change the team leader, you can just go to the top, change team rep, that drop down and pick anyone else as the team rep. Right? So right now I'm with you. If you had multiple groups playing against each other, if you want the facilitator, you can hit the help button and I will come to your room to clarify any questions. At the end of the game, we will have a leaderboard. Today, you're the only team. So over multiple rounds, overall and at an individual level, which team has hit what score. So we'll be able to say, okay, if you disqualified, what happened? How did you improve? We can have those conversations. So that's really the game, right? Simple, the objective, there'll be an order. You have to decide how you're going to share that order and then drag and drop, right? So that's really, it's a fun game. I hope you guys enjoy it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to share a link with you on the chat.
Mark, Marcia, if you have any questions, Shani, please feel free to ask.
Yeah. So I've shared a link with you. So you should, when you click on that, you should land on a screen which says warehouse.
How do we communicate? Through regular verbal?
You just talk on this call like you're talking now.
Talk on the call. Okay. Sounds good. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the game is designed in such a way that because it's a behavioral skill game, conversation is critical. So all your planning, so whatever you're seeing at the same time live is what everybody else is seeing. Right? So I hope just walk me through. I hope you're able to see I see Shobha and Deepak have joined. So stop looking at the Zoom meeting screen because we can hear each other. You have to just be on the game screen now.
Okay, and we can talk with each other, right?
That's right.
So what name we want to give? Anyone? Shobha? Mark?
No, I don't have a preference.
Okay.
The team name.
Shall we say navigator or something like that?
Yes,
Navigator.
go ahead, Abhin.
Okay, let's go.
Whatever you choose.
Okay, and say that again. Sorry.
Whatever you choose.
That's good. So for this, who would like to be team lead? Deepak or someone who knows the game or Shobha?
Well, I think let's. Marcia, would you like to take the lead?
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Marcia, you'll only get the start and stop button. That's it. That's all the leader means.
Okay. All right.
You don't have to. There is no specific extra responsibility for you.
Okay.
We move forward, right? Like
Yeah.
this,
Once
quick
you've
tour.
entered that, others can hit skip and
Okay.
you move forward.
So we do the quick tour, right? Or no?
No, you just skip it because I walked you through it.
Oh, skip it. Okay. So select your representative. So we say Marcia, right?
Yeah, we have already selected Marcia. So
Oh,
Marcia.
we have. Okay. All right.
So what you will do is you will land on a screen now. What I'm doing is I'm starting the timer. So I have set the game for 40 minutes. We're not going to play for 40 minutes. That's just something I've just done.
Okay.
So you will land on a screen which says practice time.
Okay.
So you just start dragging any item. Just get comfortable with the idea of dragging your the hardware items from the warehouse to the team store. Just get comfortable with that idea. With that, because once you start the game,
I'm dragging all the red phones.
yeah, you can keep dragging whatever you like in practice. Once all of you are comfortable with dragging, you know it works. Marcia, you can hit start round. So when you hit start round, the first round will appear, your order will appear, and then you can decide that between the 5 of us, how do we want to split that order between us? Who's going to do what color, what item? And once you arrived at a plan, then Marcia hits the start, your timer is running. And then all of you concurrently draw the items and drop it to the team store. When you feel you've hit that 40 number, then Marcia can hit the stop button and the system will count the items and time you. The objective is to continuously improve your time.
So we're deciding on what item each of us is pulling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mark, are you comfortable with this?
Mark has been very silent. So we don't know if it's Mark or is AI avatar right now.
He may have stepped away.
I'm
Okay,
here.
so
I
maybe
don't
you
know if
divide it
you
among the
have
4.
audio problems. This is Mark. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Hey,
Mark.
Mark. Hi.
Sorry, I have some problems with my microphone here.
Oh, okay, cool. So just wanted to check if they can plan with you, and I
Yeah.
hope you're all set with the screen. You are seeing what everybody else is seeing. You're on round 1,
Yeah.
right? Okay, perfect. So quickly, you guys can decide who's going to do what. The way I would put it is, you're 5 people. I would say 2 people take mobile devices, 1 person takes servers, and 2 people take computer hardware. So and then you can decide the colors, and 2 of you can in the mobile devices decide, I'll move one color, I move one color, and then both of us move the third color together. Similarly, you can do in the computer hardware. And since it's lesser number for the cloud devices, 1 person can operate that.
So just to clarify, the server
Hmm.
is the one with
You just mouse over the server, it'll pop up as to what it is.
oh,
In
it's
your
not
order,
coming up. It's not coming up over here. Oh, it will show up in the order. Okay.
in the
Okay,
order,
I got
in
it.
the order.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's that cloud, which the server is the one that's got the cloud.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
I'll do the red mobile phones.
Who's
Who'll do the blue mobile phones?
That's Marcia.
Marcia? I think you as a leader have to give responsibility to us. What should we do?
So
Hey,
I'll do red.
I told Marcia she just has to do start and stop button. Don't keep adding responsibilities.
Who wants to do the blue mobile phones?
I'll take it.
I
Okay,
can't see the
so
order. Just
Shelby's
see.
doing the blue mobile phones. I'm doing the red mobile phones. Who's doing the blue iPad?
Bhaskar, I think we need to now stop this and
I'll
get
do
on
the
the goals so that we know what we have to take.
Sorry,
Yeah, I can do everything that's blue.
what Deepak?
I'm saying we have to see the goals now. No, what is the
Yeah, we
goal?
have to see
Yeah, so you
what.
have to hit start button. You have to hit the start button. Marcia has to hit the start button.
Can we just complete who is going to
Who's
move
doing
what?
what? Yeah.
Yeah, we are not
Marcia, only when once we
No.
see the goal.
Marcia, only when you hit the start button will you know what you have to move. Only then
Okay.
can you plan.
All right. Okay. So we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The
we
timer won't start. The
Device.
timer won't start. You will get time to plan.
Okay.
have 15 handheld devices in 3 colors,
Yes.
10 servers in 2 colors, and 15 personal computers in 3 colors.
So like I said, I'll move the red phone.
I'll get 5 black phones. This is Mark. I'll get 5 black phones.
You'll move the black phones, okay?
Yeah, 5 of
I
them
can
over.
move the
Yeah,
green.
I'll do blue.
Blue phones, okay?
Green phones.
Green phones for Sobi, okay?
No, we need only 3 colors handheld devices. We have already done black, blue, and red.
Or we did red.
And the green, there's green also.
No, so we
No,
don't.
but the
We
order
have to
is
pick
for
up only 3
colors.
colors.
Only 3.
So
Oh,
decide on 3 colors that we have to pick up.
okay.
Okay.
Mark
I'll,
is saying something. Mark, you're saying
Here's
something?
the red,
I'll get 5 black phones. This is Mark.
okay?
Mark is getting
So
5 black.
red, black, and somebody else said green before.
I can do green.
I
Okay,
can do the 10 servers irrespective of the 2 colors. So I'll take the total 10 servers.
okay. And who's gonna do the 15 personal computers?
I will start with 15 personal computers.
Okay.
3
And
different colors, right?
yeah, once you finish, you can come and help me.
Okay, we're
just-
gonna start our
just-
round.
Just to clarify, the server is the cloud one, right?
Yes,
Server is the cloud one. That's right.
Cloud one. Okay, sounds good.
So we want to pick our colors for servers and personal computers.
So servers, I'll take the blue and the black. You
We'll
only
keep
need
this-
2 colors, right?
Yeah.
10 servers, yeah.
Servers will do green, red, and blacks. Same thing
Oh,
that we
No,
done
no, servers only 2 colors.
3 colors.
2.
Servers,
Servers is 2 colors, Deepak.
2 colors.
Yeah, yeah.
Black. Blue, black, and
Sorry.
green.
Anyway,
What I call.
servers is Bhavin's responsibility, so he will manage that.
So
Oh,
I'm saying
personal computers.
personal
Okay.
computers in 3 colors. Blue,
Personal
Yeah.
computers, 3, yes.
so blue, black, and red.
Okay,
So whichever you decide. So whenever you guys are ready,
all right.
Marcia will hit the start
ready?
button, and
Marcia,
then
Start the
everybody
round.
moves together.
Marcia, can you repeat what exactly we have decided on? Can we paraphrase?
Yes, I can definitely do that. So there are 15 handhelds, 3 colors. I'm doing the red, Soba's doing the green, and somebody else was doing,
Oh,
and Mark
Mark
is
is doing
doing the
black.
black. Yeah, so we're doing red, green, and black for the handheld devices. The servers are 2 colors. Deepak, you said you were gonna do the servers.
No. Bhavin is doing all the servers.
BJ.
Oh, BJ's doing the servers. Okay, BJ, you're doing all the servers. There are 2 colors. What 2 colors are you gonna do?
Blue,
Black,
the black and blue. Black and blue.
blue, and black. Okay, and then the 15 personal computers.
I stand corrected. I'll take the black and green. Black and green.
I
Sorry
can
about
do
that.
the, I can do the
Black
green
and green.
servers.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
do the
I'm
green.
good. I'm good. Black and green. I already marked on the screen.
Okay.
Black and
What
green
about the
servers.
personal computers? Mark and who is there speaking in? Is that the
It's,
president?
it's me, ATD.
Okay. Okay. So the other 15 personal computers, there are 3 colors.
I'll grab 5
You
black
and
computers.
Deepak.
Yeah,
I could do
Mark-
5 red personal computers.
or I'll do 5 blue then.
Okay.
And blue.
Mark was also offering to.
Considered handheld devices.
Mark, you said you were gonna do the black ones.
Yeah. Is it laptop computers or desktop computers, or it doesn't matter?
If you're doing mobile devices, it is. If you're doing mobile devices, then it's only the phones and the tablets. If you're
Okay.
doing personal computers, then it's either laptop or desktop. Doesn't matter. The color matters.
If
Okay.
you hover over the hyperlink, it'll
The order,
show
yeah.
you the icons. So we ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
All
go.
right. 30
The best
seconds.
guide.
Go. Ready to
Go.
play the round. Oh
So
goodness.
let's go.
All right, let's go.
Should we put them in particular places so that the personal computers are on the
Yeah.
bottom?
Yes,
Now
And
yes.
then the handheld in the
Yeah.
middle servers? Okay.
That's a great idea. Otherwise, you spend
idea.
too much time counting.
Yeah, so these phones should go at the top.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I keep getting stuck here. Talk about teamwork.
Mhm.
I can't see the right side of the screen. I don't see where the servers are.
The edge of the screen?
Over. Did someone bring over an extra computer? 1, 2, 3. 5 black computers, right?
I think we got computers.
I
I
put
can't
computers
see.
at the bottom. I'm just organizing them by color
Okay.
so we can see how many we have.
You can see
So
the whole
blue,
screen.
need one more blue
Get
one.
one blue computer more. Yeah. We have 15 of computers. What about
Oh.
servers?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Got too
6.
many
I think we have
greens.
one extra.
Do we need 15 of each color or 15
No,
total?
15
Total.
in total, Mark. 15 in total.
In
I think
total.
we
So
need to
5
put it.
black ones,
I think we
5
need
red
to
ones,
put it
5.
inside the store, right? It's like it's okay.
So we got too many green ones.
That
Right?
doesn't matter.
9, 10.
Okay.
Oh, we have more than 15 here.
Thought we just needed 15.
Just need 15. All right, so I'm going to take away some of the phones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, okay. I'm going to put some greens back and some blacks back and some reds back.
Oh, wait.
Okay,
Is
we
there
have-
another black? Because we only got 4 black now.
Oh, so it's 15 handheld devices in 3 colors. So it's
Yes.
That's right.
5 each, is
5
it?
each.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
3, 4.
I'm going to put this back. Sorry about that. Five.
Yeah.
So
Done.
once you feel you're done, you should.
Okay, so the 15 are good. Now the 10 servers, 2 colors, 5 each, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. 15 personal computers, 3 colors, 5 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we've got this team.
Okay.
We
Only
did
one
it
way to
in
find
4.
out.
Wow.
Great job.
Bravo.
Bravo. Awesome.
Yeah.
Play
Super, super.
round.
Great. So what you can do now is you can, what time did you get?
3 minutes, 18 seconds.
3 minutes.
18 seconds. So the discussion really is to see, we've got success, but we've taken 3 minutes. Is there a way that in the next round we can drop the time? What are some of the things you could do? For instance, if you have a chat now before Marcia starts the second round, what are some of the things you can do better? Where do you think you lost time? Where can you gain time?
I think
I
if each
think-
person decides what color and what item they're going to do before they start, that will make everything go much faster.
We did
Yes.
that. We just didn't decide how many. I think the specifics, I think Shoma, how you pronounce your name? Shoba.
Yes, Soba. Yep, yep.
Soba. Yes. I think Soba brought out the point. Oh, it's 15. It's 3 colors, so it's 5 each. I think coming to that determination
We
at
need,
the
yeah.
planning stage, it makes it much, much smoother.
Does it has to be, it is written 15 handheld devices in 3 colors.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not equal distribution.
yeah.
No, it
So,
doesn't have to be.
Right.
Okay.
so even
Doesn't
if we
have
have
to be
6 of the green and 4 of red, still it
Yeah.
is.
still 15.
Also, if you notice, after you put everything there, Marcia had to spend time counting.
Yeah.
So maybe about 30, 40 seconds was spent just counting to ensure everything is in order. But if you arrange it in such a way in the store that it's easy to count, or the person who is dropping it has the responsibility to count, then you save the time at the end of the game.
Mhm.
So that's another way you can improve. So we have a choice. We either play one more round or we can move on. I'll leave it to you.
I think
Maybe you want to-
Marcia, even when we were starting to take it away from there, everything was jumbled up in the warehouse. In the planning, we could have separated some things so that everybody know that, I have to take these 5 things. So if I have
Mhm.
to take 5, so in the planning stage only, we have option to separate all our equipment so that we don't have to look for it and it will save time.
Yes. Yes. That's a good catch as well.
Yeah.
I like
Is,
that.
is everyone up for another round?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'll take you 2 minutes only, so we can do another round and see how much time this group drops from 3 minute 18.
Good.
All right.
Let's
Okay.
start.
I'll hit the button. Everybody
Yeah.
ready? All right. Okay. Handhelds in the top left. I'll do 5 reds. What other color?
I'll take the greens again, 5 greens for
5
handheld.
greens. Okay.
I'll take the servers again.
You'll take the servers. You
Yes.
take all the servers? All
All
10?
the servers. Yeah, all the
He has
servers.
done already servers, so I can again similarly I can take me and Mark can take personal computers.
Yeah, and I'll do blue personal computers.
I will do black personal computers.
What is the position of the servers you want me?
Servers are going to be in the middle here.
In the middle
Oh.
where I stacked last time?
Yes. The
Okay.
handhelds are going to go to the top. And we can do them in the different colors. What colors we said? We said the red and the green and the black, those 3. So we'll pile them 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, like in columns at the top. In the middle will be the servers. One row will be one color. The other row will be another color. And at the bottom, we'll have the personal computers. Line them up in 3 different rows since there's bigger items at the
I'm gonna
bottom.
see gray screen. Do I need to click the link again?
Yeah, if you just left the screen, it'll no, you just what's appearing on your screen?
It's gray. It just says round 2 qualified. Your team took 3 minutes, 18 seconds. I can't
So
click
when
on it.
Yeah, when I
then
hit
no.
the start.
When she hits the start is when your screen will change, Mark.
Okay, so what am I doing? I got the computers. I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I'm taking black computers. Mark, you take
I'll do blue.
black computers.
Black
Oh, sorry,
computers.
no,
Okay.
no. I'm taking black. You take red computers.
Red computers. All right. I'm gonna do 5 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second.
All
I
right,
think there
we're
are.
ready?
Okay. All right.
Everybody know where everything goes, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, let's begin. Ready to go. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right.
Happening.
Who's getting the black phones? I missed part of the briefing.
I thought ATD was getting the black phones.
Oh, I didn't say I would, but I can.
Oh,
I'm doing I did the blue personal computers.
I'm helping you to get the black phones, okay?
I'm also
Okay.
helping you. So we have 3 black phones already.
Now
yeah.
that's-
Four.
okay, that's all. That's all the phones. Yeah.
Okay, that's all the phones.
That's all the
Phones are
phones,
done.
all the
All right.
servers, all
Okay.
done.
Yeah, everything is
Done,
there.
we are done. We are done.
We're done.
Right,
Okay.
let's stop the round. 5, 5, 5, boom. Yes. You want to stop the round?
Yes, yes.
Love it.
Round two has stopped counting it. What? What?
Oh,
Wow.
I can't see. I can't see.
That was
Wow,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Did we do?
That was
That's
great.
great.
Yeah.
So we won't play the round, but just for you to see the screen, maybe Marcia, if you just hit start next round, you will see that you'll see a change.
Mm,
Oh.
The order is completely changed, right? So what happens is the game, for
real.
instance, we've designated say 40 minutes. So assume you're playing for 30 minutes. We played for about 20 minutes so far. And say you had 10 minutes left and the order is completely changed. So all of you have to completely reconfigure your planning.
Mhm.
So you have to get out of the comfort zone of the known, and now you have to, okay, now how are you going to reconfigure this whole thing? And then you plan again. And you only have 10-15 minutes. So how agile are you? How much you're willing to say, okay, let's just take responsibility and start, and we'll figure out when do you make that choice. So all of these elements are essentially inbuilt into the gameplay. So we're not talking about it. You're just going to play. And then after the game, when we come back, if it were a training session, you can talk about your behavior. For instance, how did you go from 318 to 114? What are some of the things you did? And then when everything changed, how did you adapt to that change? So it gives you a sneak peek into various elements of various behavioral competencies, leadership competencies, based on your experience in the game. And then you can connect it back to any learning outcome that you want to cover. And all of these games, you can cover multiple learning outcomes depending on what you want to drive out of that game experience. And in that sense, if you were to talk about the importance of planning, or if you were to talk about agility, imagine it being a gamified experience where you're given a story and you're given a quiz like choices like the past. Chances are you would score very well because it's common sense. Doesn't require you to learn something new.
Mhm.
But in the game experience, your natural instinct takes over, which is perhaps what we do in a day-to-day basis. And therefore, games can help deeper reflection, uncover blind spots in a very non-threatening and non-judgmental, fun way. And then the facilitator, if given the right resources, can drive the learning conversation from the game, and everybody is far more open to absorb because they have personal reflection to rely on as opposed to just what they know. And that's really the fundamental difference we wanted you to experience between a gamified learning experience and a game-based learning experience. I'm happy to hear everyone's thoughts. Any other experience you want to share from the gameplay?
So I'll go first if I may.
Please.
I really enjoyed it. I kind of had my reservations because I was only seeing one slide, but then when I got into it, it was like, oh, this is fun, number one. And then the fact that we all came together and we did our planning and we decided made it easier. That's number two. And the fact that we were able to determine, everyone volunteered as opposed to being voluntold. And we decided, where we're gonna, we came up with a strategy. So I think that all of that played into it, and the fact that we were able to just come together as one to make the end result and achieve the end result. I think that was in and of itself a remarkable feat. So thank you for that.
Great. Thanks, Marcia.
Mhm.
Mark, any thoughts before we move on? BJ? We start with Mark, yeah.
No, nothing to add.
Okay.
Kenny, you want to share something?
I agree with what Marcia said. That it was fun, and it was great to see how once we figured out our strategy and to collaborate and cooperate with each other that we were able to improve our time so significantly.
Great. So, I mean, that's what we wanted you to experience. Thank you for, for sharing. And then it doesn't matter which game you use, but what I'm going to talk after is therefore, how do you decide when do you want to use a gamification experience? When do you want to use a game for learning? Both have their place, both have their reason to exist. It's just as learning and development professionals, we need to know the difference between these two. And that's what I'm going to spend a little bit time. And also talk about why gameplay is such a strong and powerful motivator or trigger for learning, right? So if you see why it works for soft skills, like I mentioned today, is because in the gamification experience that you saw before, there were predetermined choices, and you had to choose from the right. So you have to make a choice, as opposed to a game in which I gave you the rules, I gave you the outcome, and I left it open. So you could have gone any which way you wanted. You could have said one person moves everything. You said all of us move whatever we can find and we'll figure out. So there's just a variety of things. And what you do from those choices really decides your action and then decides your consequences. That is why it provides a learning experience, which means if you are doing this in 3 groups, another group could have taken a completely different approach from yours. And it's not a funnel where everybody has to choose only the same answer. Also, you are influenced by each other's choices, right? So when BJ said, I will do all the servers, what happened is everybody else switched off from servers and moved on to other things. And therefore, if BJ had said, you tell me what to do, maybe you would have had a different plan. So each one influences each other, which is what actually happens in real life, in a where the behavioral skill is required. How good a communicator I am depends on whom I'm communicating with. I can be a damn good communicator with Deepak, but can be extremely unsuccessful in getting across to Shobha because who's there on the other side. And therefore, the game allows for that people dynamics, and there is no step by step. It's not linear. Anything can happen in the game. So you walk into a meeting is never linear, right? It depends on the 8 people in the room and what outcomes you achieve. And if you see the gamification model, it works great in a self-paced model. So you're playing alone, whereas a gameplay is essentially social in nature. Like Marcia mentioned, we all came together. We came together as one and we played. And therefore, it works for soft skills because it mirrors reality. Most soft skills and behavioral skills are demonstrated with others, never in isolation. And therefore, it moves from academic knowledge to actual what you do. And this is really what's the difference between gamification and game-based learning. If I can summarize it in one slide. In game-based learning, you play first, and then you learn based on what you did in the game. Whereas in gamification, you learn the concept first, and then take part in a game-like experience to see how well you have learned. So that's really the difference between gamification and game-based learning. And therefore, they all have their role to play. So if you're looking at behavioral skills, leadership competencies, vision, values, immersion, culture kind of learning experiences, game-based learning works because you don't want to do only knowledge share. You want people to actually realize where they're coming from, what is there, what do they naturally do, and what is the gap. But if you're doing functional skills, technical skills, onboarding, mandatory trainings, and they're all boring and very content heavy, their gamification helps because you can put them in real life scenarios and ask them to see what choices they make to know how much they have learned the content. If you are looking at a cohort-based social learning experience, you do not want, imagine in a session like this, you have 25 people, you've shared a link and all 25 people are doing their own thing in their own links. It's going to be a very quiet 15 minutes, right? And therefore it works, game-based learning works in a cohort-based like this, and it works during the session. Whereas a gamified experience is more relevant for self-paced individual learning, where the need is to ensure clarity. Have you absorbed what I have to say? And it works very well in a pre and post learning. So if you're doing a session around poker, for example, like I said, you can do a gamified quiz kind of an experience before, do your content, and then you can do after, see what is the knowledge I have gained. But the same pre-post won't work in a leadership competency, because the pre and post is not likely to be very different, because it's only testing knowledge. So where can you find game-based experience? So for example, we played a game called Warehouse from our platform Kairos, where we have about 80 odd games that you can choose. But there are other simulation platforms, there are card games out there, there are specific business related board games out there, where you don't have to design this from scratch. You can actually take several existing tools to use them in your training, and most of them are built in such a way that you can just add it to your content. You do not change your program, you do not change your content, but just bring the game in the right mode. So for example, a game like this, if you are to lose in a leadership session, it's not going to take over your entire leadership session. You're just going to include the game for about half an hour, just for people to experience, keep them engaged, and really reflect on what you're saying. When it comes to gamified learning, most LMS's platform today, learning experience platforms, content authoring tools like Articulate, etc., have gamified learning built into them. But apart from that, there are other platforms like Gametize, GameLearn, where you can actually create your own gamified learning content. So today the market has evolved where there is enough out there. You need not do anything on your own. There's a lot of automation available. And therefore, if you're keen in both of these, you can actually create a learning experience. But this is what I want to kind of close with before we open up for questions, which is that the game itself, for example, you played a game of Warehouse, and say in Warehouse, you want to talk about the importance of agility and continuous improvement, and say that's your learning outcome you want to cover. Or for instance, you're using this for a planning and or team management. So for example, if Marcia was the team leader and she had a team of 8 people to manage and complete this particular challenge, then you can use this game to talk about team management, about who in your team needs, how can you develop performance in your team. You can't just stop at the gameplay and have a general conversation and say learning is over, because the learning is not complete. All you have done is chosen a game, got people to understand what they did a facilitated debrief like what I did just now, just to capture a few learning outcomes. But the learning doesn't end there, because the learning needs to answer the now what. Okay, so what is the context for me in the work that I do? So if you had a group of managers who are leading teams for the first time, you have to make the game end with something that's contextual to their reality. And we all know that any behavioral skill is about behavior change, and behavior change is about moving from reflection to actual action. And therefore, any game-based experience has to end with what we call a learning to action. You should have a learning to action tool of some kind. For instance, in this, if Marcia was leading a team of 8 people in this game, then after the game, I will share a tool like this with Marcia and say, okay, Marcia, now, or everyone in the group, assuming they're all managers, that I'm sharing this with you. Why don't we look at who in your team needs what support? And say, if it's a skill set, so you rate your team on skill set, which is capability, you rate your team on mindset, and then you realize that in my group, there are different people who need different kind of support. So if I have to lead a team through change, then different people in my team need different support. And therefore, you are able to move from learning to action. And when people walk away from the program, each one is walking away with very concrete outcomes. And therefore, what does developing performance mean to me? So Deepak will walk away from this with a map of his team. Mark will walk away with this with a map of his team. And each one is going to have a learning journey going forward. So even in our platform, when we offer the games, we have, apart from the games, we have these learning tools that you can use. Even if you don't, you have to necessarily have a learning to action. Most behavioral skills program today suffer from the lack of context after the content. So that is why, in fact, even completion rates are low, because what do I do after this? Like Deepak mentioned, you are giving me a piece of content which 1 million people in 50 countries are watching, across businesses, across positions and profiles. What does it mean to me if we do not complete that cycle? The learning circle is not complete. So we've also put together some content for you in terms of best practices, that if you're using gamification, what are some best practices to use? If you're doing game-based learning, what are some of the best practices that you use? And if you put your maybe email ID in the chat, we'll send you this as a we'll send you a slightly more elaborate content that we want to share with you as something that you can use going forward from this session, that we'll be sharing with you. And of course, our contact details are also there. So I want to, we've got 15 minutes left. Since it's a small group, the questions were also lesser. So that's really the starting point, a 101 on gamification and game-based learning, how each one is different, how each one serves a different purpose. And as people in L&D today, you cannot not be bothered about engagement. You cannot assume that just by giving access to learning, learning is automatically happening, because you're not taking into account the lack of intrinsic motivation for learners. Today, there is information overload, the attention spans are dropping, and therefore games and gamification is something today that you cannot ignore. And especially if you're doing soft skills, even those quizzes and gamification have all failed. All your LMS platforms, all of them offer this, and yet they have not managed to move the needle beyond a few percentage on adoption. And we see the progression from just quizzes and contests to actual games that actually challenge people as the next step with respect to making behavioral skills and leadership courses really meaningful to audience. So I'll stop there. I'll take any questions anybody has at this point. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, BJ.
So excellent presentation, Deepak and Bhaskar. What I wanted to ask you is, let's say there is a particular soft skill that we are looking at through game. And for example, let's say a skill as difficult as influencing without authority.
Okay.
There are a group of people like us who don't know each other or are in different departments. So I don't report to anybody here, neither does anybody report. And we played this game. And so what all you would structure in this? The game would be one part. Would there be an assessment at the start, assessment at the end, some lecture or some best practices discussion before? So could you just share some light on this, Deepak and Bhaskar?
Sure. Deepak, shall I take that?
Yeah, please, Bhaskar.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to look at any behavioral skill program that you're focusing on, BJ, even before you jump into the content, we have to identify what are the triggers and blind spots that inhibit, or why is that behavior important? For example, influence without authority could be because you're in a matrixed and cross-functional environment where you do not have a direct authority. So you identify that as one challenge. And then you identify, okay, because there is no direct line of authority, maybe these are the 5 challenges that are happening. Second, what if a person is not naturally extroverted, naturally, out there? How does influence without authority challenge them? So any behavioral skills you take, the temptation is to not jump into content, because that content is what is easy. If you type influence and authority, and now with ChatGPT, if you type, it will give you the 15 steps better than you and I can write, right? And therefore you can't get tempted by the content. And the focus also to always be is that if this is so commonsensical, what is actually the challenge? What is the block? what is the barrier? And then the entire learning journey has to be about overcoming those barriers. Only then will your actions, if you say that, therefore, this is what you do, only when if you start from that barrier, will that your content later have any resonance with your audience, right? Where the game helps is to help people understand how that barrier influences the outcome in a safe pace of a game. So for instance, if the game, like we have a game on our platform called the Animal Farm, which essentially exactly captures this, where I can tell you, BJ, don't do this, but I can't stop you in the game. And the temptation for you to do something beyond what I am telling you to do is very strong. And therefore the game influences you to take a decision, and then the game fails because that's how the game is built. Then it allows you to bring to light from the subconscious to the conscious of saying what are those barriers we deal with every day. After that, whatever content share you do is received much better because you've hit upon the barrier. You hit upon the blind spot that is actually stopping you from exercising. So for example, today, if you were to relate it to a fitness regimen, the fact that you have to be fit doesn't, it's not rocket science. You don't have to tell me about why fitness is important, right? You need not even tell me about what diets I should follow and things like that. First, you have to attack what is it that's stopping me from doing these things? What are those barriers? Maybe the barrier you identify is time. Maybe you identify inertia. And then say, if I say, no, I don't have these, I actually am very busy, that's the reason. Am I masking my actual blind spots? So if you attack those blind spots, then when you tell me this is the diet to follow, I'm far more open to listening to what you're saying. So it doesn't matter actually where the content comes. The content, what matters is, have you made it relevant for me first? Right? Because content is not going to be your biggest challenge. Getting people to acknowledge their blind spots and be aware of their challenges is your biggest challenge.
Yes.
Right? So that's what I would do. Pre-post can work, but in soft skills, if you want to land pre-post well, you have to be fantastic at the way you're able to nuance the content. Because whatever you do, I still know what the right thing to do is. The fact is, am I doing those things or not? Right? That is what important for me to learn. So we have seen, I've designed the most complex branching scenarios, storylines for pre and post. I've got pre 80%, post maybe 85%. Right? But in the game, the gameplay hasn't been so successful, which means knowledge is not the issue. So that is why I don't think post works in soft skills. I think awareness of where I am is going to be critical to aha moment before I'm able to learn.
I have a follow-up question, but I will pause because if there is someone else who has a question, then I will ask that maybe later so that everybody gets a chance to ask. But thanks for
Shani,
sharing.
Marcia, if you have any questions, Shobha, please feel free to ask. We have.
No, I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions at this time. I
Okay.
really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So Bhavin, maybe you take your last question and then we'll, for once, maybe finish before time, which doesn't happen on calls usually. Yeah.
Right. Wonderfully explained. So my question is, since we talked about the barriers to uncover, because this is not rocket science, everybody can figure out, and thanks to ChatGPT, you can figure out how to influence knowledge and all that. Now, if pre and post is not that very relevant, in order for this context of the soft skills to uncover the barrier or the blocker, what style of a game would you recommend? I mean, for example, I'll give you examples of games. The games is a quiz or a role play, or find out who is the criminal in this, or some kind of like Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. What style of a game would be best?
So you, in your choices itself, I can answer,
Sure,
right?
please.
So a quiz will not work because a quiz doesn't open up for multiple behaviors to coexist,
Sure.
which is what the reality is, right? Everybody
Mm.
doesn't act in the same way,
Totally.
right? Same, your Sherlock Holmes is essentially any of these treasure hunt or, you know, these kind of things are essentially just glorified quizzes. It's actually a quiz, right?
Mm.
You have to uncover each plot and move forward,
Totally.
right? But you mentioned something else,
Role play.
role play, right? Role play is unscripted,
Mm.
right? So, and typically if you design a role play well, it works well because despite what people know, I'm going to react to what BJ is saying. I might have a script, but there is BJ involved in the middle.
Mm.
So it's not a linear conversation, right? And therefore, if you plan your role play well, and introduce, most people look at role play as static role plays. What I recommend is make a dynamic role play, which means somewhere in the middle, introduce an unexpected element. It could be a change in situation by handing them 2 slips. It could be introducing a third person who was not planned for. So don't look at role plays as a static one. I've designed a role play, 2 people talk together, but introduce some unexpected element, which is not you having fun, is actually something that mirrors the reality. Right? And then, you know, it could be me and my subordinate. The third could be my superior who's coming and has a different point of view. Right? And things like that. So role plays are great. Any game where the outcome is not predetermined and offers multiple choices is a good game for behavioral skills.
Nice.
Right? And maybe we can talk offline. I can recommend, you know, some games based on your session, but you can do you can do a damn good job even by a simple using blindfolds and asking people to do something. Right? You can do a fantastic deep dive into leadership styles by blindfolding 3 people, giving them some Jenga blocks, and asking one person to lead the group to build a tower using the Jenga blocks. And in the way they are directing those 3 people, you can uncover entire situation leadership model, for example. So, you know, things like that. So there are stuff that you can do with stuff that's lying around in your house and build a very strong game for leadership.
So I've shared our email IDs in the chat. So in case anybody has any question or want to have an offline discussion, we can always be happy to do that.
I know it's a Tuesday evening, it's 7 o'clock. So I'm going to, if nobody has any more questions, let you all go. Thank you for making the time. Deepak and I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity, Shani.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this insightful presentation. I really enjoyed it greatly, and I learned a lot. And so I'm really looking forward to learning more from you about using game-based learning in my position and in the future, and I know everybody else is also. So, if you don't have any objections, we'll go ahead and post this video on our YouTube channel. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Fabulous. Great, great, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.